Hello, ladies, gents, and silly poopy faces. We return to the daily challenge of Spelunky. It is the 17th of February of 2020, and the apocalypse is upon us. There's no way to escape it. There's no escapism allowed in this place. It is all coronavirus all the time. There is 24/7 newsfeed into my brain. I just went up the stairs, so I am just terribly wounded. I mean, whoa, terribly winded because I have become a pudgy piece of garbage. And I cannot possibly even withstand a 20-second stair climb. It is just too much, and I have to catch my breath for a whole 5 minutes in order to be able to talk normally after going up the stairs. It's quite pitiful, pathetic, shameful, and idiotic. That's all the adjectives that apply to me right now. Hello, welcome to the Daily Challenge. It is a wonderful place in which we enjoy ourselves. There is never anything weird going on in this place. I want to use my shotgun to murder this guy. I was like, I'm going to commit to ghosting and everything, but without the shotgun. But then I found myself in a situation where death was imminent and fulminating, and I just let go of my commitment, just like I did with all of my previous wives. Man, do I have to pay a lot of money because of that. It's been quite of an issue. But, you know, we continue to survive to pay for all of them hussies. I am committed, though. Committed to making an entertaining and wonderful daily challenge. It's going to be a fantastic time for everybody to enjoy. I really didn't want to use shotguns, like I said, but now that I have used them once, what is another time? That is exactly the same reasoning I had with heroin, and everything worked out in the end. You know, as long as I get my hits, I'm going to be okay. Going to be just fine. Nothing ever happens that is bad concerning my crippling heroin addiction. Continue to grab some money. I am pleased about the way that I have been whipping them gold piles. I hear Betty, she does not appear to be in a situation where I can rescue her without any cost to my person, so I guess we're just moving on with my life. Another week, another trip to Anchorage for me. Been quite the experience so far. Oh man, there was an idol. I could have definitely grabbed that idol and it would have been a hilarious adventure. Probably a misadventure for all the nonsense that could have happened to us. Let's just do something like that. Thought the scorpion was about to come alive and obliterate my gonads. Thankfully, everything worked out. Everything worked out. It's all good. So we get to the hotel, right? Everything's fine. Check in, all the good stuff. We're ready. It's already freaking 8 in the night because we got out kind of late. Of course, the roads are absolute garbage, so you have to go slower than usual. Alarm, well, I mean, I backtrack a little bit. The fire alarm went off. I already blew my wad on that, so let's just commit to that bit of information. The wonderful part, though, the fire alarm goes off as I am wiping my butt after taking a dump. So, you know, not the greatest time. At least I can be happy that it wasn't as I was starting. You know, that would have been so much worse. So much worse. So here I am with a blistering, absolutely ear-shattering alarm going off as I am making sure everything's clean down there. My wife, as any reasonable person would do, goes out into the hallway trying to find out, okay, is this for real or is this just some idiot? Right? You know how it is. Just like whenever you're in school, you're in the movies, fire alarm goes off, especially if you're at your workplace. Geez, is this a thing or is this a drill? Is it a moron that held on to the fire alarm because he's a moron, or do I need to worry over here? So she comes back in saying, hey, there is a smoke in the hallway. We probably should do something. Hey, there's still a shopkeeper around here, isn't there? Yeah, we have a dumbass hanging over there by the cobweb. Ah, jeez, I should be dead, but thankfully the arrow trap was triggered. So good, we got this under control. I would like to get back to Major Stupid. Get that money. Get that money. This story has been, you know, percolating in my head all this time. I have been not saving it, but I knew that the daily challenge, I would like to tell it because it was like the most eventful thing that happened in my week, and that is a very sad statement, but it's true nonetheless. I want to ghost, don't think that I don't. But so far, the levels have not been forthcoming with that objective in mind. I mean, there were some gems that I picked up, but I really don't think it was a whole lot. So here I am, just, you know, doing the business and wiping the business from a bum. As the fire alarm is going off in this hotel, my wife comes back in, says to the door, there's smoke on the hallway. It's not bad, but there is smoke in the hallway. It smells. So this is not any kind of accident. There is something that's happening. So hurry up. Let's get out of there. So we make our thing and we try to grab as much as we can, but not everything, because, you know, it could be serious. We go out into the stairwell, and the smoke is pretty bad there. So that obviously is where we choose. I'm like, wow, it's truly for real. This hotel could burn down. Clearly, the smart decision is to hand what I'm carrying to my wife and say, well, oh crap, it's for real. Let me grab everything we have. So I go back into the possibly rapidly clogging with smoke room. It wasn't. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but, you know, playing it up a little bit for dramatic effect. There you go. Some tripping on some arrows here. Tripping balls. That's what I'm doing with this silly seed with zero money so far. I am just sinful about the fact that there's just no vault, but there's a vault. Unfortunately, only 4 bombs. That makes everything that much harder. But let's not get this silly Spelunky commentary get in the way of my hotel adventure. I'm sorry, Major Stupid. It had to happen. You had to get it down that way. You'll be alright. Let's just toss you like a pile of garbage into the next level. There's no spikes down there. Don't worry. I lied to you. You fool. Well, obviously, that was not my intent, but better you than me. You were my canary in the coal mine. You were my bug in the caves. You did. That's obviously triggered, right? Let's make sure. No arrow forthcoming, so that's all good. Let's go back. I was hoping to find more bombs. Found no bomb whatsoever, so that means we have to work at this a little more. Throw the shotgun from the front. I don't know why I'm doing it like this. Now it's a lot harder. I get rid of this scumbag. Oh, that hurt. That also hurt. Okay, here comes the ghost. Let's go over to the side, make sure that the ghost goes over the gems. It's totally working. Yeah. Oh boy. Now it's cleaned up. So 2 arrows, that means he still needs to be damaged 8 times. That is not great. Not the greatest I ever thought about. But we can grab Major Stupid. Throw him down there. I really don't want to use bombs to kill him if I can help it. So maybe we'll do the long form way of killing this guy, and is throwing a couple corpses in there, and he will eventually stun himself to death. That is the long form way of getting rid of him. Hopefully he will... There you go. I could have maybe risked my life. Wrecked him while he was stunned. Anyway, go back in there, get the bags of food and the stuff. You know, extremely important to open that fridge while the fire alarm's still blaring into my eyeballs. And this is not a misnomer. It's not a bad way of saying that. It's literally blaring so hard that my eyeballs are shaking. That is how loud this freaking fire alarm is. And As they're supposed to be. I'm not saying that it's poorly designed. I'm saying, you know, it is a painful experience for my eardrums, okay? You don't have to nitpick and look at every single word that I say. The hell is this? Is this a spelling bee where you're trying to microanalyze every word coming out of my mouth? No. Leave me alone. I open the fridge, get my water out of there so it doesn't burn down. That was some very expensive, several cents worth of water. I'm not going to lose into some stupid fire. Grab all that stuff. There's more smoke in the stairwell. My wife is nowhere to be seen. I start to panic just a little bit. It's like, oh shit, where'd she go? I hope this is just assume that she made it all the way to the bottom, and she's waiting for me at the bottom. She didn't want to block the stairways. Probably we should have convened on some kind of plan beforehand. So this situation in which I am mildly worried about her well-being didn't happen. But you know, we live on the edge of danger. We improvise in the face of the unknown. Long story short, I go down the stairs, which are increasingly smoky. Yeah. Increasingly smoky. Give me that weapon, you scumlord. You don't know what to do with it. Actually, don't you want him to have the weapon? Yeah, you do. Because that way he will stun himself. But what are the chances? What are the odds of this man actually killing me? They're nil. That's how likely he was to kill me. Alright, we're all good. Not going to use a bone to get anything. There were a few gems that we could have ghosted out of the walls, but for now, I do need the shotgun though, because we need to return to this area. There was all these to be ghosted and stuff, but let's simply keep going. Long story short, go down the stairs. She's right there by the exit. Sees me carrying all this stuff, and she's like, "You grabbed everything. You could be dead right now." It was worth rescuing. You can't tell me that water could have saved our life in a situation where we are now stranded. We got nowhere to be. We have somehow roaming packs of evil chimpanzees have stolen our wallet, but they left us with the water? Huh? Who's laughing now? Who's nitpicking now about their survival instinct? We go out there. We tell some woman's coming in. It's like, she was like, "Oh, what, the fire alarm is for real?" We tell her, "Yeah, there's a lot of smoke in there." And she was like, "Oh crap, I need to go in there and grab my stuff." So rest assured, the percentage of really stupid people that die in fires is quite high. So it's kind of like a self-calling kind of instance there. People that die in building fires by their own hand kind of were not contributing to the gene pool anyway, were they? Thankfully though, fate saw fit to reward my stupidity with zero danger whatsoever, because it turned out in about 30 minutes time they turned off the alarm because the fire department determined that some moron had burned a towel. So I know that this is an anticlimactic ending, but I would like to stress the fact that it was a very traumatic experience for me, okay? It was emotionally draining. You can't judge me for having a rough time and resenting the fact that here we are after like a 7-hour trip, finally make it to the hotel, and this is the bullshit. I wanted to relax watching some cable TV that I never watch because I don't even have cable, because I don't give a crap about TV. Get wrecked, scumbag. Alright, your death is a source of joy for me. There is a vault, which I resent because I only have 2 bombs and we are in the jungle. Which means, if I use the bombs to open this vault, etc, no black market. So, that makes me salty. That fills me with a certain amount of rage that I don't know what to do with. I don't even have a child right now to beat up senseless. What a terrible circumstance that I find myself in. Well, I guess we'll just leave and eat a massive super dick. So there you go. Not terribly pleased with that. There was, I don't think, any way to get into that vault with only one bomb. And you don't ever want to leave yourself with 0 bombs in the jungle. There's no telling whether you'll be able to get to that black market or not. Most of the time, you're not going to be able to. If you leave yourself bereft of explosives. Some more have burnt the towel. We spent quite a lot of time trying to figure out how do you burn a towel by accident. We decided the most likely scenario, somebody was getting some nookie right after a shower in their wild abandon. They threw their towel over the stove that for some reason was on. And so the towel caught fire, and the people were not there to stop it from spraying because, you know, there's a number of ways that your towel can catch fire. I can imagine a certain amount of scenarios in which your towel could catch fire. The question is, how do you not notice? Your towel is on fire, and you should do something about it. This is the crux of the conundrum here. Can you possibly imagine a more likely scenario? Do post it in the comments below. Imagine a more common, more possible scenario. Another thing that I thought about is the classic. After a shower, somebody goes into bed. They light up a cigarette illegally because they are filthy scum of the earth and don't follow the hotel rules of no smoking inside the rooms, and they fall asleep, and that's why we have to all file away in that fire exit, possibly burnt to a crisp because some moron did a thing that they weren't supposed to. And I'm very, very mad about the dearth of black market here, the dearth of bombs, the dearth of soul that this seed appears to have. It's a terrible, terrible seed that I resent horribly. It's alright though, it's all going to come across perfectly. Turns out that we could have gone into that vault, but of course, that is results-oriented thinking. Saying, oh, it didn't turn out right, so I should have done something different. That's not the way you're supposed to think. You're not supposed to approach it like that. You're supposed to approach it like, did I play the odds properly? The odds ended up screwing me over, but did I pick the option that was most likely? And indeed I did. So therefore, I should still be proud of the decision I made, even though it turned out in this particular instance to be the bad one. It is something that I've said several times before. It's nothing new, nothing exciting, but it's important to establish. It's important to save face and never look like a moron. That's why I play these games, so everybody can just bask in my radiance, in my complete lack of bad thinking. Everybody can marvel at how absolutely flawless my reasoning is. And how I never do anything that could be questioned by my peers. Because I am beautiful, pristine, and pure. I would like to find this black market that continues taunting me with its clicking. It seems to be like maybe in the middle in there, right above me. No? Maybe down here. I think it's down here. No? Huh. Sure, to shotgun jump all the way up there. So that was my bit of excitement for that day. Then the next day, we go out there and the truck has a flat tire. Oh, this entire trip was just cursed. It was cursed. Absolutely awful. Luckily, it's high enough for us to go to the doctor before. We need to fix it. Where's this black market? I am legitimately confused. I think it's at the very bottom. It's at the very bottom here. Not in the middle. It's not up there, above. It has to be down here, right? Not going off. It has to be down here. Yeah, it has to. think it's like 2 below here, so we can do something like this. And it'll be a 2-bomb expedition here. Yeah, it's somewhere in there. We have figured it out, even though it was a massive pain in the ass. Anyway, there's a moral to this story. At least a moral at which I arrived shortly after having these problems, because I told my wife it's very important. These things, you have to have this attitude. I am mildly proud of this attitude that I carry in my life. Let's not be sad or upset that these setbacks are happening. Let's be happy. Let's be exceedingly happy. Be terribly glad that they didn't carry. You know, I don't remember how I saw it. I said it, but basically it could have been so much worse. Oh, I think it's the corner here. Yeah, that was a poorly placed bomb, but it's not. I am the greatest. I told you guys that I am the greatest. What was I saying? Oh yes, I was patting myself on the back because it's like, yeah, this was awful compared to our norm, but it could have been so much worse. Imagine the fire is an actual real fire. The hotel starts like burning down, and we are just stranded for the night. It would have been a massive pain in the ass. It wouldn't have been the end of the world, but it would have been just a real bad time. A real bad time for our night. So, you know, much better that we were mildly inconvenienced, then we returned to our hotel room and nothing wrong happened the rest of the night. Then we had that flat. But can you imagine? You get a terrible flat in the middle of your 6-hour trip, and you're in the literal middle of nowhere. This is no man's land. Absolute nothing for hours in both directions. The middle of the drive, let's say from Cantwell to Trapper Creek, it's 3 hours of nothing, no outposts, nothing. I'm excited you're in. It'll be maybe like 2 hours, but a good 2 hours of like zero civilization in any direction. Of course, you can just sit by the side of the road, use your freaking lift jack. I don't know the actual word for the English term for the metal apparatus that it has a crank and you lift your truck with it, your vehicle with it, or any kind of heavy thing with it. I'm very salty about this guy. This fellow is pissing me off. There. Eat a bomb, you scumlord. I hope that your parents come back from the grave only to tell you how much of a terrible son you were. Pretty sure there's no threat over here. All good. Excellent. Please. Ow. Okay, we have to let this explosion play out because I was terribly stupid. Oh, look at all those explosives though. And suddenly, well, that's terrible, but at least the first one happened. Suddenly, the run goes from absolute trash to, ooh, it goes to, it goes to, oh, interesting. All right. Yeah, I could have changed that tire in the middle of the road. I have the capabilities, I have the gumption and the willpower and the means to do it. We have a way to lift the vehicle, and we have a spare, but it would have been a massive pain in the ass, wouldn't it? So, much easier. Let's go into that Jiffy Lube, get our tire repaired. They said, oh, don't wait more than a year to actually get a new tire on this. These patches, they are not like your tire's not like new. You better get this tire replaced at some point next year. We all know that's not going to happen, right? We're going to ride this tire until it blows up again, and then we'll change it with the spare. And then when another tire blows up again, and it's a massive inconvenience at the time because we have no spare anymore, then we'll get a new set of tires. Well, that was not great, but at least we get another chance not to commit suicide by ghost. Let's do that. Amazing. Anyway, moral of the story is just be thankful it wasn't a complete disaster. Well, that was fantastic. Well done. Excellent whipping of that of that gem. You absolute buffoon. So there you go. There you have it. Now my wife is in a cast. And she's just, you know, settling in for the long haul of 5 more weeks. We're in that cast, being frustrated and not being able to do what she wants to do, or just do stuff. Like my wife is a big stuff doer. She's a restless butt that I cannot make sit still, which is not like, it's not really true. She loves to play video games hours on end, but she always needs to have some kind of project at some point. Like, yeah, it needs to have something going. It can be slow going, but it needs to be going. And it frustrates her that she can't just get it done right there, right then, no matter what. I really don't like this. I don't like it one bit. The situation in which I was putting myself in, so I decided to stop it. Alright, give me some ghosted gems. This Mattock is not going to be terribly useful anymore, so that's why I'm going out of my way to use as much as possible here. In fact, let's just do something like this. We're going to keep it, but between the ice caves and the fact that I'm going to blow my head off, has a very limited shelf life, this Mattock right here. So that's the story, the big story of the week. Other than that, I hope that you are all prepared for the horrendous doom that is coming. Like, you know, I am not a conspiracy guy. I have scoffed oftentimes at conspiracy theories and mass panics. Ebola, I never bite an eyelash. SARS, I was like, psh, whatever. It's just like it's obviously not going to be a horrible problem. I mean, obviously it's a problem for the people that are getting it, but definitely not going to be a widespread awful thing. The Wuhan flu, the COVID, the no-COVID-19 is the real deal, and it is so clear to me that it's the real deal. It's like truly, honestly, worrisome. So I was like, okay, you're actually worried about this. This is real to you. Let's take measures not to be worried about it. So what can I possibly do? What is within my power? Because are you guys keeping up with this, the information that's coming out? And not coming out of the official source, like, you know, on the viral networks, on the actual data that we're getting. This thing is roughly about 20 times more infectious than the flu. This thing is it's yet to be determined how positively deadly it is, but I think the most major factor is if you get it and you build immunity to it, yeah, congratulations, you just build immunity to that particular strand. Likely, it's very likely there will be another strand that will get you infected, and that strand will actually kill you with a heart attack. So, you know, slightly problematic to say. It's not like freaking chicken pox. You can't just get it and forget it. Kind of an issue, okay? So, and you know, the incubation period is a whopping maximum so far of 24 days. So even if you're in quarantine for those 2 weeks that they've been keeping people at, even then it's not enough. And what's wonderful about it is that you test negative while you are incubating. You do not show symptoms, and you also don't show on the test that you have it. So slightly difficult to contain. Let's just do a 2-bomb trick here. I really don't want to put in the thought out of the effort to get this guy dead. So, you know, all these factors combined, it's like you can imagine a mass contagion situation And realistically, I don't think it's going to be like the end of American culture or anything extreme like that, but it's going to be a problem. It's going to be the big thing, perhaps of the decade. So it does concern me. Obviously, I hope it's not, but it is concerning to the point that I want to do something about it. So we're going to get a generator hooked up to the house, make sure that I can switch back and forth between normal power and the generator. It's going to cost a good $1,000 or more, but I think it's worth the money. Even without this disease going on, that's something that I have wanted to do. Because, Alaska power is not 100% reliable. So we often have, like every winter we'll have a bunch of powerlessness. And perhaps this is not terribly concerning. It's annoying. And a disruption of your day for most people in America. For us, it can mean frozen pipes. It can mean an extremely cold house when the power outage happens at 40 below in the middle of winter, and suddenly your house doesn't get any heat anymore because the friggin' boiler is hardwired into the power of the house. So that is an expense as a homeowner that I must take care of, and this is a good reason as any other to get it done. So that part, it's kind of like a good reason to get it done, once and for all. Just in the bonus that if there is massive power outages because the oil that needs to be imported from the lower 48 that is currently being ravaged by a plague, so therefore the crude oil cannot be imported anymore. So there's enormous power outages because the local company is trying to just keep a lid on consumption. Well, I have my own generator to do. Another thing I'm going to do, I'm going to stockpile a little bit, not something crazy, not like 2 years supply. Not 2 years supply. A good maybe 2-3 months supply for the absolute worst. Because like I said, I don't see a massive disaster of apocalyptic proportions. I do see a pretty moderate disaster to happen. So, it's not like, oh, it's gonna happen. It's more like, I see this being plausible. I would like to do a few things to make sure I am not in horrendous hardship as a result. I am not stranded in the middle of the disaster with nothing. I am going to the shopping center and I'm fighting somebody for a bag of rice. I would rather avoid that. And that's how you get the disease, because you were punching in the face a 70-year-old lady trying to steal her last container of beans. And she was sick, and you got her breathing all over your eye sockets. Now you have the second bout of disease. You were so happy to have gone through the first one. That was like your freebie, but now you got it another time. That is when your lungs will bleed inside out. So it's a wonderful topic of conversation, I know. I hope that I am inoculating you with a healthy dose of concern. Then again, we've been saying we don't really want to talk about it, because the less people panic about it, the more resources there will be for me. So it's pretty important to keep everybody calm and collected so that I can prepare in lieu of their lives. It's very important that I survive at the expense of my community. Some disasters, most of the time that will be a natural disaster, you benefit enormously from having the support of a community. In a situation like this, the community is the liability. It's every person for their own. This is a full-on zombie survival place. That is not a good analogy, because the zombie survival, your only hope is really to find a group to protect you in the long run. Otherwise, you're going to get assaulted and raped and stolen and then murdered. In all kinds of different orders of those things, but those things will happen to you if you're alone in a zombie apocalypse. And this one, it's an isolationist kind of event where people want to keep to themselves as much as possible. So that's another reason to get it done. And there's a few, non-intuitive measures that you might want to take. There you get another pair of glasses. I will be screwed without my glasses. So, say that they break and I cannot replace them. Well, I guess you're blind now. Whoopsie. So, it would be nice to get an extra pair of glasses for emergencies. What else have I thought about that is not the obvious rice and beans? Of course, getting a nice stockpile of oil and gas. You know, heating oil and gas. Let's just get rid of that scumlord. But that's also obvious. Thought about a few things that I was like, this is not obvious, but I will 100% need it in the case of a horrible survival situation going off. And it's weird. It's really weird. It just feels wrong to even be contemplating the possibility that this is an actual thing that could happen. Like it's just not in my nature. It's the kind of thing that I make fun of people for suggesting. I have literally made fun of my wife for freaking out a little bit about certain things that I thought were silly. But this feels different, man. It's so different. It is so weird that there's two maniacs over there. They refuse to play ball. They refuse to be team players with me, Team Blargh. We've established very, very carefully already how much of a team player I am, how much I care about those around me. So I don't understand their insistence on not immediately submitting to my will. The bright part about all this, though, is that if the apocalypse does come and the end of civilization is nigh, at least I'll be able to rise eventually as the Rat King, you know, Lord of the Wasteland. I'll be vying for that position. I don't know if I have the gumption. I am looking forward to finding out. Don't you? Don't you sometimes imagine? You must have imagined what it would have been like to be in a end of civilization situation. We've all seen The Walking Dead. We've all looked at it and wondered, what would I do? My father was extremely clear about this. The beauty and simplicity of his input was both grim and it had a degree of poetry to it. When my father said today, when I spoke to them about the possibility of this being like a real problem, he was like, well, don't worry. In the event of an apocalypse, all you could ever need is one gun with 2 bullets in it, if you're a married person. And, you know, it's something that can strike you pretty deeply. I will leave it there because it is obvious what you want this gun for. But it is worthy of a little bit of extra discussion. It is a worthy thought. Because, let's say the end of civilization is coming. Our culture is in shambles as we know it. There's nothing we can do about it. It's all collapsing. Life will clearly be miserable and the standard of living will be just completely alien to us. It will be just freaking third world country minus kind of quality of life. It's like you're struggling to survive. What for, man? What for? Are you struggling to survive? Are you going to be the one to rebuild civilization? If you fancy yourself as a rebuilder of human life, I guess you could say, it's worth surviving. If not, though, if you're just surviving to experience more misery, there's a good, some merit. There's some merit to that line of thinking. My father, the most positive, bright person that you could possibly imagine. You know, he is 65-ish. If you're that old and it's time for the apocalypse to claim you, I can relate to that type of thinking. As a 30-something-year-old guy, I still have a little bit of fight in me. you're gonna have to fight me for that Rat King position, damn it. Something that I had never considered before, and now I'm like, you know what, maybe it's time. I wanna fire him. Oh, I almost go through the exit. Almost go through the exit. I still believe the ideal situation is nobody owning weapons, but the grim reality of the place where I live, which is the United States of America, is that, you know, I'd say, I don't know the stats, but I think it's around 20-30% of people own a firearm of some kind. If the end of civilization comes, take a guess. Who will rise to the top? You know, you just want to defend yourself in some way. And I think I'm a shotgun guy. I gave it some thought, some cursory, summary thought. Like, what kind of weapon would I want to buy if it came down to it? I'm not of a pistol person. I just see myself shooting myself with this pistol, shooting somebody that I care about. I see, not. Oh. Our friend is right there. I see myself just screwing up monumentally. Well, that was not a very good bomb, was it? I see myself screwed up monumentally owning a regular pistol with several shots in the chamber, a semi-automatic. A rifle, a single bolt rifle, like that you use for hunting and stuff. That just feels like not my thing either. It just feels clunky and not the thing I would like to use in a panic-driven situation. I think the shotgun, especially since it's my favorite FPS weapon of all time as well. You know, it just makes sense. It makes all kinds of sense. Shotgun, you can load several shells in there at the same time, but you only shoot one at a time. Yep. You get an extremely satisfying motion anytime you'll load a bit of ammunition into the chamber. Am I using the correct terminology? I don't know. But you also have the options of, do you want birdshot? Do you want buckshot? You know, it's a versatile weapon. Yeah, it's a good spread. So you're guaranteed to hit your target, or rather not as unlikely to miss. It's good stuff, man. I would endorse it. I think I am a shotgun kind of guy. So maybe I'll swing by the Walmart. I'll swing by the... Well, that was a short-lived shopkeeper. I appreciate you, Mr. Shopkeeper, being the sorts of entertainment today. I am very resentful about these aliens. Let's see, can we do something like this? And your last guy. Alright. Destroy that piece of garbage. There's some money to be made. But do I want to make it? Like, we have a pretty garbage seed so far, in the sense of we had to skip that. We had to skip that vault. But other than that, I mean, with all these gems, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. No, ever been somebody like most of my life I would have been horrified to even contemplate owning a weapon. Like, it's just not my thing. I used to be 100% opposed to it when I was growing up. You know, you get older, you see more perspectives in life, you get used to being in an environment where it's kind of the norm. And I still don't want them, but I can totally get it. Something that living in America has kind of normalized for me, for sure. The thought of owning a firearm. There you go. And I don't see it as a bad idea at all at this point. Knowing what's out there and how bad it can get. Yeah, sure. We'll have to bite the bullet. Pun 100% intended. Who the hell do you think you're talking to? Oh, you're kind of an asshole, little alien. Trying to erase the way that I climbed like that. Absolute jerkitude. I think we're done. We ghosted most things. So that's been what's been in my mind this past week. It's been You know, it's freaking terrifying. In the sense of, in the general sense, I'm not like sitting in bed hugging my knees and just dreading the apocalypse, but you look at these images coming out of China, man, it's just insane. It's just looking at those ghost towns full of ravens, looking at the videos of people just freaking out, all those apartments in lockdown and people escaping, rappelling through their balconies because they want to get out of food. Their only option to survive is to escape their homemade prison. And of course, spread contagion in the process. Like, you wish they wouldn't, but can you blame them, right? If you were in that situation, would you have the interest of your fellow man in mind and just make sure you don't spread the disease? Or would you be like, I need to feed my family, I need to feed myself? Like, the will to survive of a human being sometimes is overpowering. Sometimes you cannot stop it. Some other people will have that perhaps noble, perhaps foolish impulse to drive themselves to self-sacrifice. There was this story of this guy that didn't actually have the virus, but he thought he did. He killed himself to make sure that he didn't spread it. It was some other infection that had no relation to it, but some people have that strong sense of responsibility to their community. Some others have an extremely heightened sense of self-preservation, or the preservation of their extremely close relatives. And it's a matter of which one do they prioritize. And there's not much rational thought involved in it, is there? It's just the way you're built. Of course, there is the possibility of debating it while you are going through it. But eventually your brain is going to swing one way or another. And how much is it? Is your decision? How much of it? It's just the way you are built. It's something that we struggle a lot with, the whole free will question. It's like, how much is it me deciding? How much is it just the way my brain is built? I tend to fall on the side of no free will at all camp, which is not to say that you are excluded from paying for the consequences of your actions, because whether you consciously chose it or not, they are still your actions. If a murder is not premeditated, well, it should still be punished. If a decision is not conscious, it should still have consequences. So don't come at me with the entire, that just frees you from the consequences of your actions nonsense. That's the straw man argument, man. You should know better than that. The entire thing, this is something that this is like the position that Sam Harris has, but I will proudly and snobbily establish is I wouldn't say it's a conclusion, let's call it a notion, an inkling, a feeling that I already had before listening to his reasoning of why we have no real free will. It's like it was something that formed way back when I was 16 and learned about the biology of the brain and all the chemicals going on and all that stuff. It's like we are just biochemical machines. And everything seems to be deterministic as far as I can tell. Like, eventually the way that your brain is built is going to swing one way or another. And that's the decision you're going to make. And that's not to say that you shouldn't think about things, but the way that you think about things and the way that all the different factors will influence you, like how much are you deciding on that? It's not your decision the way you choose certain things, right? Like, it is your decision to decide. But it's not your decision the way you decide, the way you process information. So I think it's a very solid argument to say it's not really something that you can 100% say is free will. But it's a very muddlesome, and not just muddlesome, that's a word, don't look it up, just trust me. it's not just fuzzy, but also kind of irrelevant. It's an irrelevant line of thought because it makes no difference. At the end of the day, they are your actions, they are your decisions, and you should be held accountable to them, regardless of whether you had a quote-unquote choice in the matter. You know what I'm saying? You know the words coming out of my mouth, what I'm meaning to say with them. It's like, effectively, whether we have free will or not at a biochemical level is irrelevant. In the eyes of the law, in the eyes of consequences for the things that we do, it's all the same. You are responsible for your outcomes, and it should be reflected in the way you are punished for them, or rewarded. It doesn't have to be all negative. It can be a negative Nancy, be a positive Pam. I'm resentful of this entire situation, by the way. This is terribly upsetting. It's slow progress. We're going to make it. First, we're going to get rid of the actual nuisance. Now, we are free. Damn it, picked up some money. But it doesn't matter anymore. It really doesn't. Like, we are in the freaking what's this place? The mothership. We're in the mothership with not even 700,000. This is like trash. Trash seed. Should maybe just stop ghosting already, but damn it, I'm too damn attached to the notion. We have a lot of bombs for the City of Gold, so it can still be good. It can still be decent. So let's stick with it for the time being. So just hold on over here. Get that massive recoil. Make way for a wonderful shot to this person. Okay. I'm not welcome on this tile. How are you still alive, you scumlord? Alright, let's just get rid of those turrets. Make way for the incredible ghosting action that's going to happen in this amazing realm. Anyway. I think the main resistance to the deterministic thought of the human brain, of thinking that the way we're built is not really up to us, and that freedom of choice is just difficult to determine. Let's just put it that way. It's just difficult to pin down. Often I don't hear arguments from facts. I don't hear arguments against that from a position of here's the science that backs me up that there is free will. And the main one is like the whole quantum argument of if there's randomness at the bottom level of reality, that means that not everything is determined, therefore free will is a real thing. It's kind of a leap, but I can accept it. But most of the time, the opposition to such a standpoint comes from a perspective of, how do I put this diplomatically? I don't want to say hubris. I want to say of human self-importance, of that notion that we are in some ways special among all the other animals. Like, you scum. Like, you look at any other creature in the animal kingdom, and you can pretty much say there's no free will there. You know, even dogs, even chimps, even dolphins and elephants, like, they will do things and react to things, and it's because they have a certain buildup, of course, through nature and nurture, and they can be very complex. They can be very sometimes obscure and strange to figure out, but ultimately I think it's a pretty solid argument to say, ooh, non-human creatures don't really have that much free will, I guess. Anyway, let's just get past that. Is the sense that humans are special, humans are above some kind of threshold. Like, in a way, I see it as the reluctance to accept that we are just goop that managed to get this far, you know? Like, and that's another reason why I have no real problem saying, like, yeah, of course the apocalypse can happen. It's a mystery how we got this far. I want this emerald ghosted. I've gone through massive lengths to get it done. Off you go, Scumlord. You know, I know that it's a popular thing to have that nihilistic view of the world. The whole Rick and Morty thing, it's become in vogue to be like, oh, nothing matters, watch TV, that kind of stuff. But that's not even my perspective. Like, I don't see that even related. Like, the fact that we're not special makes it even more special in a certain sense. It's like we are the product of these absolutely bizarre and extremely unlikely circumstances. There can't be that many similar results out there in the universe. We should make the best of it. That is my philosophy, honestly. You know, in the sense of the progress of humanity and the worth of the human being, the human race as a whole. Like, I would not want the human race to just end. I don't think that is not. I don't see that's a desirable outcome, and it might sound like a silly thing to even say. You'd be surprised how many people see that as a desirable outcome. They probably would not be surprised to know how many people would be like, man, the humans are garbage and we should all be eradicated. That's not true. It's not true. I think, and this is actually central to somehow the new novel that I'm writing. It's like one of the central questions around it. Is the relevance of the human race and our ability to affect the universe. Because with terms relative enough, we are irrelevant no matter what. Like, where do you define relevance? The solar system? There's literal billions of stars. Our galaxy? There's literal... I'm pretty sure it reaches the billions, but let's say hundreds of millions of galaxies. The universe? Even that is questionable, whether there's more than one or not. Like, if there's one, why not 100? You know? It's, you know, our universe ends in one side. Why is there to stop a second universe from starting on the other side when ours end? So, you know, it's when you zoom back enough, you're going to find your irrelevant context. So it's not even a position from which you should argue that, oh, we are going to go out into the stars and change the galaxies. Like, well, how is that more relevant than changing the planet? How is that more relevant than changing your family environment? It's like, it all comes down to a flaming dog flying through the sky and you're not feeling any remorse. You should just commit immediate suicide because you truly cannot contribute anything of worth to the human race. If you can look at that and not tear up. It all comes down to, you're alive here now. Make the most of it. Are you going to kill yourself? If the answer is no, make the most of it. Because the alternative is just being a mopey piece of garbage that contributes to nothing and is just miserable until it dies. So, do you want to be a mopey piece of garbage that contributes to nothing until they die? Or do you want to actually achieve some kind of happiness? Because there's no middle ground. There's no middle ground. You either work towards being the best you got, or just zombie your way through nothingness. Damn it. I don't know how we reached this point in the entire super deep talk over here. We started talking about fires in hotels and mild inconveniences, we ended up arguing about the significance of the human race and what we're going to do with our own lives. But damn it, all that I want to say is that Doritos are the best brand of chip. Don't at me. Actually, Doritos are not those are my wife's favorite. My wife's favorite, Doritos. I got it. I got it in my brain. My favorite is I don't even have a brand. It's like a kettle type of really crunchy chips. Really good stuff. Really good stuff. I can't say there's anything better. There's actually there's a couple brands that I like better. I don't remember the name of it, so I can't even go that far. How much do I like them? If I can't even name the brand, well, I'm not a corporate stooge. I don't know the name brand of all the things that I consume. I just see it as Sun Chips. That's the word. That's the stuff that is real good. I don't know why I ended up in chip talk now, but I do have a little bit of an addiction. I do try. I tell my wife, just don't. And these days, I'm the one that does the buying because, she is currently crippled. She has only one hand. So, I drive her everywhere and I do the chores. I mean, no, I don't do all the chores, but because she's still determined to make herself useful around the house. But where was I going with all this? Don't buy chips because I'll eat them. That is the main philosophy. It's something that in my adult life has taught me, is that I don't have enough self-control. And this is something I've struggled with for decades now. The fact that the things I try to do, let's say self-discipline, it just doesn't work. I don't want to eat chips. They make me fat and they give me tonsilloliths. And they just make me feel like a piece of garbage. If they are in the house, I will eat them. That is nothing. And here's another, circling back to free will. You think like, oh, you should just resist the temptation, man. It doesn't work. It doesn't work to say, I'm not going to do this anymore. This is the resolution. And yeah, it might work for a month, for 3 months, for a whole year. It takes one time of slipping and just go back to it. It is super frustrating because it's something you don't want to do. But it's something that doesn't benefit you in any way, but you do it anyway. It's extremely, extremely frustrating. And that's not, it's not just the chips. It's not my horrible trauma with chips that I have going on. This is like the incredible, terrible ordeal that I'm going through. All this chip situation. It's like everything from getting enough sleep, losing weight, eating right, not doing in general just self-destructive things that just feel good in the moment. And I am not a self-destructive kind of guy. I don't have issues with that kind of thing. But I do eat too much. I don't exercise enough. I do stay up at night. All things that I want to stop doing. All things that I want to be better at. And everything that I try doesn't work. And I try over and over and over because I feel like I should have the self-control. I should have the presence of mind of stopping myself from doing these things or not doing these things. Or doing the things that are good for me. But time and time again, the resolution simply falls by the wayside. I mean, it's just a pattern. It's a constant pattern. And how much of that is something that I can remedy, and how much of that is something that is just the way my brain is built, and I need to work around that. I'm not saying there's no solution except it. That is not where I'm going with this. What I'm going with this is, obviously, this is not working. So you should find something that works. So in a way, it's kind of like a freeing type of discovery, type of line of thought. Like the entire self-control, resolve not to do it anymore type of thing. clearly it's not working. You've been trying it for 20 years. What, it's going to work now in the next 10 years? That's when it's really take off. Or maybe you need to try something else. Maybe you need to find some way for the temptation not to be there. Like if you're terrible at temptation, you need to remove temptation. And that's something that, my wife, she was a smoker and she wanted to quit. But the people around her kept offering her cigarettes, and it would drive me insane. And she would never hold them responsible when she accepted them. Like it was like she accepted responsibility. Like I accepted it. It was my problem. It's my issue. It's not their fault that I cannot say no. It drove me nuts because I did not see it that way at all. Like probably because I had always had these struggles with self-control. It's like if the temptation is there, you are like 1,000,000,000% more likely to indulge. It's like it's a no-brainer to me. So, it was a thing. Now she's been like 15 years smoke-free or something like that. But it was a struggle. It was a struggle back then. This guy. How about you catch one of these and go eat a massive dick, scum lord? Actually, I'm just being a dunce. Oh, I think the scepter's at the bottom. The scepter. So I can't just go there and end his life. Unfortunately. Anyway. Remove temptation. Something else I've tried that I also failed because I don't commit to it. Get a program that turns off the computer at a certain time, so I just go to bed. Works for a little longer than in other methods worked. At least one of these, I will appreciate that a lot. He refuses to eat one of these, and now I'm in dire danger. There you are. I hate that I used a bomb for that, but that's fine. There's the scepter. I was a little concerned about the location of the scepter. But there it is. We have a bunch of shopkeepers we can get at the very least. 12 bombs. I think we have every single item in the game. That nonsense. Here we have every single item in the game. I am pretty sad. No vault. So that means then the next level is going to be that much more of a pain in the ass to get to it. Shouldn't be too bad though. And man, would I be super happy to carry that Mattock into the next level. No need to get the scepter. Nothing I can do about it. There's no reason to be blowing up this place. There's a freaking emerald down there. It's just way too much work. I don't know what, like I had no desire to go into such topics, but you roll with where the conversation takes you. Sometimes we are always having a good time, having a laugh together. Other times we go into real deep chats and share some serious business issues that might be troubling. Not even attempting to crack a joke at the end of it. It's you never know what you're gonna get. Sometimes you get a grab bag of poop jokes and Forrest Gump impersonations. Other times you get the deepest, most thoughtful discussions you can possibly have alongside the Forrest Gump impersonations. And when I say impersonations, I don't mean doing the silly voice and maybe quoting the movie. I mean, of course, being retarded. It is what I am best at, what I am just gifted at. That is my gift. I'm so good at that impression. It's of course just an impression, it's just a persona that I affect. My incredible mental deficit. Only something I do for entertainment. It's never been a thing that is actually real. I really want something else to sacrifice. There should be a Hawkman. I know it exists. I remember stomping his head into the pavement like he was a colored individual in American History X. There you go. Off we go. This is great. Got a bunch of bombs out of that. Got that amazing scepter. What a movie that was. I was just freaking shell-shocked when I first watched that movie. That butt rape scene, man. Was absolutely traumatic. Ed Norton must have still nightmares about that scene. Our poor Major Stupid has been brain zapped by the scepter. Small price to pay. Should be a vault somewhere around here. It must exist. It actually doesn't have any obligation to exist. It's not be fired. It doesn't have any obligation to exist. Okay. Let's clear that because it's there. So we have, yeah, Vaultman over there and the shopkeeper at the exit. Whoa! Well, that was an abrupt, unstartling ending to our very... Man, this was a good seat with all those bombs. In the end, I was poo-pooing the seat a lot, but in the end we had a lot of bombs. Wonder why these names have not loaded. I resent it a little bit. But that was a wonderful death, and hopefully you enjoyed it as much as I did. I'm going to go take a Valium because I need to calm down from this high.